welcome back, you guys. So today's video we are going to be making dressing, and I am going to be using these Jiffy boxes. This is the pan that I'm going to be mixing it all in. So I have 4 Jiffy boxes here. We're going to put your Jiffy mix into a bowl. We're going to use milk and eggs for this first few steps. Okay. So you're going to put in how many boxes of Jiffy you're using. You're going to have 1 egg per box. I'm using a total of 4 boxes, so I'm going to be using 4 eggs. Okay. Now you guys, this is one of my favorite recipes to make for the holidays. But this is a Thanksgiving meal that I'm making right now, so I made this for Thanksgiving and I wanted to share this recipe with you guys. But I make this for Thanksgiving and Christmas, and it is absolutely to die for. So now you're going to go ahead and take your whisk or your spoon, whatever you want to use. You're going to whisk those eggs up, just mix them up, and then put them into the Jiffy mix. Okay, so once you get those eggs in there, you're going to go ahead and mix that in. Just stir that around and mix that in. And then once you get the eggs in there, we're going to go ahead and add the milk. Now, I generally just kind of pour my milk in. I don't necessarily measure it, but I do kind of look for a nice runny consistency with the batter. So you want to make sure it's not thick. There's no chunks in there. Just whisk that bad boy up until it's nice and it's liquidy. So here you go. You can see how I went ahead and just mixed all that milk in there and the eggs and everything, and just put all those ingredients in there and make sure there's no more chunks. Okay, so here's the pan that I'm going to be using, just an aluminum pan. I washed this pan out, and I'm going to go ahead and put some extra virgin olive oil in. Now, obviously, this is an aluminum pan, but you guys, I have found this rascal to still kind of, you know, overcook my cornbread. So I still put a little bit of extra virgin oil down at the bottom of it, just for some, you know, extra protection, I guess. So once you got the olive oil in, go ahead and pour in that batter. This is the 4 boxes of Jiffy mix, the milk, and the 4 eggs. Okay. Once that's poured into your pan, you're going to go ahead and pop this into the oven and bake that on about 350. 350 would be safe. I generally kicks mine up to 420. So bake that for about 20-30 minutes, and once it's done, it's going to look like this. And then now we're just going to crumble that cornbread up, you guys. I'm using a spoon right now because it's hot, but I'm old-fashioned and southern, so I do get in there with my hands and I crumble that cornbread up as we're getting ready to prepare for our dressing. There you go. So now we're going to go in with our hands, honey, and we're just going to go and mix that cornbread up. We want to just crunch it all up, make it nice, and you know, just crunch it up, crumble it up, you know. So you don't want any chunks in there. You don't want any chunks of the cornbread in there. So you're just gonna just make it all nice and I don't know the word for it, honey, but just crumble it up. Okay, that's what we're going for. We're gonna crumble up the cornbread. Okay, getting my daughter to rinse the spoon there for me. So I just get right in there with my hands and get that cornbread all nice and crunched and crumbled, making sure there's no chunks of cornbread left in there. And then we're going to get ready to start putting in our other ingredients so that we can get this delicious dressing made. Okay, so checking to make sure there's no more chunks underneath, stuck to the pan on the sides. Want to get all that into the center and crunch it all up. Okay, so once you're certain that there's no more big chunks of cornbread in there, we're going to go in with our sage. This is McCormick's ground sage that I have. I'll be using 2 different sages, But right, because they honestly, the store only had one. So if your store has two, go ahead and get two of the same one. But this was Thanksgiving, so I had to go to two different stores to find another sage. So I generally use about half that little bottle. I am making 2 pans of dressing for this particular holiday, okay? Because again, this is Thanksgiving. Now, what you see that I'm holding here, these are some liver, this is some gizzards, and turkey necks that I got from the turkey that I'm boiling and using for Thanksgiving. Now my daughter is cutting up the onions. I don't like bell peppers, you guys, so I don't put bell peppers into my dressing, but you're more than welcome to do so. But for that green color, I just kind of use the back ends of the sweet onions here, and I also chop up the onion as well. And it works just as well for me. Now my kids are not fans of onions. They don't like bell peppers, so they would at least do, you know, just a little bit of onion in there. And that's why I use these sweet onions here. And they're okay with the little back ends of the sweet onions as well. But anything bigger than that, now let me tell you, I am making 2 pans. One pan I'm not using any onion in because my oldest does not like onions at all. But the other pan I am putting onions in because my husband and I and everybody else, we absolutely love onions. So I'm chopping these up. You can kind of see how I chop them up, just kind of slice them, you know, vertical and horizontal. And then we're going to put them in the same bowl. And we're just going to sprinkle that into the dressing once we're done chopping them all up. Like I said, if you guys want to use bell peppers or add anything else to your dressing, feel free, go right ahead. But this is how I make mine. This is how I like mine, with just the sweet onion here. I use the bulb of the onion, and then I use the back end of the onion as well. Okay, so just making sure I'm getting it all. You want to get all of that onion. There you go. So that's what we're going to be using and mixing into our dressing, okay? So now I'm still chopping up the turkey necks, just taking the meat off of the turkey necks from the turkey that came inside of the turkey. This is what I like to use to mix into my my dressing. So I'll chop up the liver, and honey, you'll find that this also adds flavor to your dressing as well as some texture, and it's really delicious. You got a little meat in there, you know, always got to have some meat in there other than just the cornbread and the vegetables. So this is the meat that I'm using in there. It's pieces of the turkey neck, and then like I said, it's the liver and it's gizzards. Now the gizzards, they're a little bit more chewy. I'm not necessarily a fan, but my husband loves them. So I put them in there, and you know, honestly, after it gets through cooking, I don't even realize that I've eaten it because you really can't taste it in there. You know you're chewing on something, but you don't really know that it's the gizzards, okay? So this is optional. You don't necessarily have to do this part if, you know, you don't want to deal with the hassle of chopping up the meat, or you're not a fan of turkey necks, you're not a fan of liver or gizzards, whatnot, then you can skip this step and just use the onions, or if you're going to be using bell peppers, just use the vegetables. It's still going to taste just as good, sis, I promise you. It's going to taste just as good. Alright, so I'm trying to get all this meat off the bone here, and I'm stripping it clean, honey, because I want it all. So I am stripping this turkey neck as clean as I can possibly get it, because I do love to have a lot of meat into my dressing. So we clean that bone off. And then now here we're going in. This is the liver. So I'm just chopping up the liver in small pieces. You can do small pieces, you can do big pieces, whatever your preference is. I don't technically have a preference. I kind of just chop it up. If it comes out small, it's small. If it's a big chunk, honey, that falls in there, as y'all can see, it stays. I don't, you know, pick it back up and chop it smaller. I just kind of just chop it up. Okay, I lied right there. I did pick that one up because it was too big. So I did pick up the big ones and chop them up. So I take that back. I take that back. I did chop them up a little bit smaller. Now these are the turkey. This is the meat from the turkey neck. And I'm also chopping that up smaller. Okay, so looking to see what other meat I can use. This is meat from 2 turkeys. I did make 2 turkeys for Thanksgiving. Honey, if you guys did not see that video, look, I'm going to link it right up here at the top. It's a small little clip of the spread that I made for Thanksgiving. And it was absolutely delicious. I made 2 pans and 2 of everything. 2 turkeys, 2 dressings, 2 mac and cheese, everything. So the broth that I'm going to be using is the turkey juice from boiling the turkey. I seasoned that with just some salt and pepper. So now I'm going to go ahead and take my onions and I'm going to sprinkle that in there. As you guys can see, the meat is already into the pan and also the sage. So I'm going to sprinkle in the onions in here. And then I have the turkey boiling. So I'm going to use that juice from the turkey and I'm going to pour it in here. Now, I do want to tell you guys that you can use chicken for this. I have used Cornish hen in the past. So whatever meat you want to use, you can use that. You don't have to just use turkey. So that is the juice from the turkey. My husband took the turkey out of the pot and poured the juice into this bowl. And this is what I'm going to be using for my broth, okay? So you just pour that in there, mix it around. And again, you're looking for a nice consistency. You want it to be, see how it's kind of thick still? The cornbread is thick. You keep pouring that juice in there until it is nice and even all throughout the whole pan. Okay, you don't want it too runny. You don't want it too watery because it will take forever to bake and to cook. So you just keep stirring it in and adding more slowly, a little bit at a time. Just a little bit at a time. And once you got that done, I'm going to be adding some of this rubbed sage in there. Now again, you guys, this was kind of a last resort kind of thing because the grocery stores was running out of the grounded sage. So I had to improvise and use whatever they had. I needed more sage, so I just grabbed what they had. And that was the last one too, at a completely different store. But I'm stirring that in. As you can see, the consistency of the dressing there is not too thick and it's also not too runny, okay? So when you can get it where it's just kind of just right, you know, you added just enough turkey dressing, turkey broth in there, then you'll find that it bakes just fine, okay? So stirring that in, mixing that sage in there, and we are almost done with this, honey. We're going to go ahead and put this in the oven. And we're going to let that bake until it's nice and brown at the top, okay? So there you have it. I got both of my dressings in the oven. I did make 2 pans again. My turkey's at the bottom. Disregard that. But this is how it looks when it's all done. So this is the finished product. Look how nice and golden that dressing is, you guys. You can see the liver. You can see the gizzards in there. You can see the onions. You can see the back of the green onions. And this is so good with some cranberry sauce. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Thanks so much for watching. If you got any questions, please go ahead and comment below. And I'll see you guys in the next video.